Hello everyone, Derek Johnson with Tatango.com. This video is going to be about 10-digit long code text messaging. So if you're sending messages via a 10-digit phone number rather than like a 5 or 6-digit phone number, a short code, this video is for you. So we just got word that Verizon, starting February 1st, is now going to add a carrier pass-through fee for any message that's A2P, application to person. So think like 2FA or, hey, your Uber's outside, things like that, application to person. They're going to start adding a fee on top of what you're already paying. And usually it's to an SMS aggregator or sub-aggregator, something like that. So this fee is 0.0025 per SMS message. Now, I've heard some providers, they're charging for the inbound message. Some are not, or they're not disclosing that they are. I'm going to let you figure that out with your own provider because it seems to be kind of inconsistent from the data I'm getting. But what I do know, what is consistent, is there will be, if you're sending on a Verizon network on a 10-digit phone number, regular phone number, there's going to be additional fee added on February 1st, which is 0.0025 per message. They call them a carrier pass-through fee because essentially the goal of this is, or the process of passing this fee through, is it goes from the carrier, Verizon, through to the aggregator, through to maybe the sub-aggregator, and then it eventually gets passed on to you, the brand. You're the one at the very end of the day that pays these. Now, there's a couple things kind of interesting going on here. Number one, if you're using short code messaging, this sounds kind of something that has already been done. That's correct, because carrier pass-through fees are very, very common in short code messaging. All the big wireless carriers have them. Now we're starting to see the carriers add them to long code messaging. Makes sense. The carriers want to essentially charge brands for messaging no matter what channel they're using. Short code, long code, 1-800 texting. They want a piece of the action, no matter which way the brand, is sending their messages. The second component, why it might feel kind of deja vu-ish, is, hey, hasn't Verizon been charging on long codes? No. So I'm going to read this off because I just want to make sure I get this correct. And again, we're just getting this information, so I'll update in the comments below if there's anything new or I misspeak on this. I'll put it below. So the original announcement came out in February 2019. So it was supposed to be February 2019. Verizon was going to start charging their carrier pass-through fee for 10-digit long codes. Then in, let's see here, but it's now going to be, okay, so then they announced, I think somewhere, close to February 2019 that actually it's not going to be February, it's going to be April, so a few months later. So, hey, we're delaying it essentially. So April 1st, 2019, which is kind of a bad day to launch anything, April 1st, as you guys know. Then it was delayed again, and I think at that point they said, we're not going to give a date, we're just delaying it. Now, February 1st, 2020 is the date that they are now announcing that these fees will be enacted for A2P messaging on long codes on the Verizon network. Now, this isn't happening on other wireless carriers, but you can assume that, after Verizon launches it, all the other carriers are going to follow because they want to get some money as well. And it's understandable. They're managing the networks. They built them out. They're managing the spam filters, things of that nature. One thing that you're going to want to check with your SMS provider as soon as possible, today is Thursday, I would check today, tomorrow, is make sure that your SMS provider, if you're sending long code text messages, short code, you don't need to worry, this video is just more kind of background noise. But for long code text messaging, you're going to want to make sure that your SMS provider, whoever you're buying your phone numbers and your messaging through, is actually using Verizon's approved A2P channel. Now, you're going to have to pay for that channel. It's going to be taxed essentially, that carrier pass-through fee. But I've heard some people that they're not planning on moving over to the approved A to P channel, and they're going to keep their traffic running on the P to P channel, which is kind of like a gray route. Essentially, it was built for person to person, but people have been using it for A to P, and they've been getting away with it so far. Now what's happening is Verizon is saying, hey, we have this other channel, and I'll post a video about this. I did like a little car thing to show kind of an example of how this works. But essentially, Verizon's now saying we have a designated channel for A to P long code messaging. You have to use that channel, and we are going to charge you to use that channel. If you use the unapproved channel, the one you've been using, for years, we are going to block messages and filter and be very aggressive on that channel to get you to move over to the approved channel. So it's essential for your SMS provider to move all of your traffic over to the approved channel. If it's on the unapproved channel, February 1st, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of your messages getting blocked, filtered, because they've essentially opened up the channel that is appropriate and approved and said, hey, this is it, don't, continue traffic on this. So they've given you warning, and they've given the SMS provider warning. So let's see if there's anything else here for my discussions. Yep, okay, so it seems like most SMS providers have already thought about this, and they are going to switch over the traffic to Verizon's A to P approved channel. But again, ask your aggregator who pays for this. At the end of the day, it's the brands at the very, very end. It's called a pass-through fee. It essentially gets passed all the way back to not the end user, because that'd be the consumer, but really the person that is sending the messages, which in most cases would be the brand. So again, February 1st, this is when it's coming on board, February 1st, 2020, which is in like 2 days. And the cost is going to be 0.0025, so about 2.5 tenths of a cent. So, it's not a cent, but, it's 2.5 tenths of a cent. So not a crazy amount, but if you're sending millions of messages, this is going to be a big line item for you. And be aware that most likely the other carriers are going to follow suit very, very quickly in the United States. I think that's all. So again, I'm getting the info, and passing it off to you guys as fast as I can. I will update the video comments below or the description when I hear more information, or if there's a delay in their rollout. But at this point, we know that Verizon will be launching their A to P, approved channel, which they will be, charging for a carrier pass-through fee of 0.0025 per SMS message. Inbound messages, so from the consumer to the brand, I'm not really sure. I've seen some prices, but then some say they're not charging, so I'm not really sure if there's a carrier pass-through fee or if it's just the SMS provider just charging for those messages. So that's something you got to discuss with your provider. Again, my name is Derek Johnson with Tatango.com. Any questions, comments, feedback, how do you feel about this? Let me know in the comments below. Love to talk to you guys. Thanks, everyone.